So early in the Sixers offseason, we seem to hear some rumors that Chicago Bulls could be interested in Matisse Thybulle. Plus, Brian Windhorst pretty much swears that Daryl Morey is going to swing for a star.
This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike. Talking Sixers in the bird gang, that's I like. Competition, we ain't scared, yeah, that's what we like. Win or lose, you know we showing up and we gon' fight. You see we strive for the sky every day that go by. And every single week we screaming fly, eagles fly. This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike, yeah. This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk Podcast. And today we are talking about the possibility of the Chicago Bulls actually trading for Matisse Thybulle. Also, comments made by Brian Windhorst. Like I said, he is trying to say that Daryl Morey will swing for a star. Let me know in the comment section, should the Sixers get a star or should the Sixers get depth for the bench, but also to have more quality starters? I'm talking about Danny Green and Tobias Harris, and we'll talk about all that. But before we get into it, help your boy out and hit that like button. Subscribe if you are new, and ding that notification bell so you know when these videos drop or when we go live. The play-by-plays for the Sixers will be postponed until next season because we got eliminated by the Miami Heat. Now, I did game one, Heat versus Celtics. Heat won. They're 1-0. Tonight's the next game. Depending on how quick I finish up my errands, we'll figure it out if I can do that game. But let's get into this. The Chicago Bulls have interest in trading in Philadelphia 76ers forward Matisse Thybulle per Sean Devaney. You know I'm bad with names. Bulls general manager Mark Eversley, Eversley is a big fan of Thybulle. And I heard DJ Eastwood said this a couple times. Shout out to my guy. We talk on and off YouTube. We got to unload this guy before the rest of the NBA catches up to how we feel about Matisse Thybulle. Again, if you would have talked about trading Ben Simmons a year before the whole debacle, you would have been having people line up at your door. And although Ben Simmons still offers you the assist and the ability to get to the rim before the demons got into his head at the free throw line, Matisse Thybulle is an all-NBA defensive player. Now, I think his defense has low-key been slipping because of his prowess, right? He understands that he can get the block or the steal, but he's low-key fouling more people at the three-point line. He's low-key getting hit with fouls more often than not, and he feels like he can do the swipe from behind, so he lets his fender blow by him. I don't think he's physically getting blown by. He thinks he can get the fall-through swipe, and so he allows it, and when he can't get it, he has to swipe, that's a foul, or try to get a late block, and then it's a foul at the three-point line. So he's just been low-key slacking, and then you get the whole non-vaccination thing, which it don't bother me, but it low-key could have hurt us. And so the Sixers organization is what I'm going to put ahead of Matisse Thybulle since he hasn't really done anything for me. I'm looking at the scenario like, what can we get from the Chicago Bulls? Now, again, we're going to talk about Brian Windhorst's comments, and if we need a three-team trade to get the Bradley Beals, the Dame Lillards, the Zach LaVines of the world, well, then maybe we can use this as part of the process, to say the least. Let's bring up the first comment by Wendy, and that is this right here. I'm dying over here. Windhorst said, I promise you that Daryl Morey has big, giant plans to acquire another star. Whether he's going to execute it, I don't know. But part of getting that done is to require Harden to take some sort of pay cut. So, according to Windhorst, is the player option is $47 million. He's going to have to take that and take a pay cut. Well, that's a lot to ask for a guy like Harden who wants to be that dude, right? Maybe not in the fourth quarter or in the second half of a elimination game, 2 shot attempts, but outside the NBA, he want to be that dude. So I don't know if he'll take a pay cut. Maybe he will. I've heard rumors and murmurs that he would be willing to, but I gotta believe it to see it. Now, the next thing that was asked was by Greenberg. What are the names that we're going to be talking about heavily when we get to the free agency process? And then this is what Windhorst had to say. Well, you're doing a very good job of asking a question that would potentially create news if I gave you the honest answer. So Windhorst supposedly knows. So I'm going to stop just short of that. Philly has dreams and plans. Daryl Morey does. Okay, this is what he said too. A key factor here is that they have Tobias Harris, who would have value in a possible trade. They also have Tyrese Maxey, who would have value in a possible trade. Hold up, wait a minute right there. Philly Mike says no, 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 no. Rewind it. No Tyrese Maxey trade talk. But let's continue what Brian Windhorst had to say. And you would need a player potentially near the end of their contract to come and say, I would like to go and play in Philadelphia. Is that something that could happen? Maybe. We'll see. I know Philly and Daryl are going to try to make it happen. But who are we talking about, right? Who is this is what we're trying to make happen? It seems like there is a name that is not being spoken. Is that Bradley Beal? Is that Dame Lillard? And the Zach LaVine stuff I just brought up because of this, right? The Chicago Bulls show interest in Matisse Thybulle. And LeVar Ball said that he has inside information, maybe it's his son, that Zach LaVine does not want to play with the Chicago Bulls. I know he had some words with a Chicago Bull beat reporter, pretty much not distinctly saying it, but saying like, you know what, he's not really feeling what the Chicago Bulls are doing. And so the rumors are that LaVine wants to go to L.A. How do the Lakers get that to work, right? With Russell Westbrook, and that's their problem, right? But if L.A. won't work for LaVine and the Matisse Thybulle interest is there, could it be Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, and stuff to try to get a LaVine? That I'd be willing to do. Tyrese Maxey's a guy that I understand if you want to get a superstar now and win, but I'm not sacrificing the future. Tyrese Maxey is legitly the future of this organization because how much longer are we going to have Joel Embiid playing at that level? So I'm not trading Tyrese Maxey for pretty much anybody. I understand that the here and now is important, but you're not going to get me off Tyrese Maxey. That being said, Bradley Beal, Dame Lillard, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell. Hold up. How did I not talk about Donovan Mitchell? I just tweeted about it the other day, and it got a lot of reactions. Donovan Mitchell has been talking about being traded, right? Him and Rudy Gobert do not get along. Gobert got to leave or Donovan Mitchell got to leave, one or the other, right? Again, Tyrese Maxey, I wouldn't be willing to give up in that deal. Donovan Mitchell right now is better than Tyrese Maxey, but has Mitchell hit his ceiling? Has Maxey hasn't hit his ceiling? I don't know. It's tough. Now, Tyrese Maxey wouldn't be the only chip. You would have to give Maxey and a plethora, that word, of things. And I'm just not willing to do that. But Daryl Morey looks to be going for a star. Again, I think players that fit are more important than a star necessarily. If you go ahead and look at the Miami Heat, for example, right? Jimmy Butler turns to a superstar in the playoffs. Not so much the regular season. Look at his numbers. But then they got Bam, and they got, shooters. They got the leader off the bench, Tyler Hero. They got Kyle Lowry. They got PJ Tucker, who's a tough guy who fits the mold. They got one really good player in Jimmy Butler, and then players who fit around them. And I think that same thing with Milwaukee. You can call Chris Middleton, he's an all-star, right? He's an all-star, not a superstar. It's not two superstars. So I think teams are finding a way to get that done that way. Klay Thompson ain't really a superstar anymore the way he's playing. So you got the superstar in Curry, and you got players that fit. Draymond is a glue guy, but he's not a superstar, like all-around game. Wiggins is not. You know what I mean? Jordan Poole is a great guy off the bench, but he's equal to Maxey, right? Maybe a little bit better in his development. I'm just thinking that before we go an absolute star and blow everything up for it, I think we got to consider all options, because I'm not saying we need to get the bench, because the bench necessarily won't help us out in the playoffs, because we're not going to go, but we're only going to go 8 deep. So past 8, you don't need to be deep. But I think it's 3 people off the bench and quality people around your Maxey, Harden, and Embiid. And the only reason I'm saying Harden because I believe we're stuck with him. So Harden, Maxey, and Embiid, and then more quality. The guy who's going to substitute for Danny Green, the guy who's going to substitute for Tobias Harris. Have them be quality players that fit the mold, the role, what we're asking them to do, and then have 2 or 3 pieces off the bench. If Niang is your best player off the bench, you're not going to win games. Again, Hero's the Heat's best player. Jordan Poole's the Warriors' best player, right? These are better players than what we got, right? These guys would actually start for our team, not just come off the bench. So I think you got to worry about a lot of things, but this offseason's of the utmost importance because if we go out and get a bona fide star and it falls apart, well, we're screwed. And the process and all that stuff that we dreaded will pretty much be our our future, and it won't look bright. It'd be Maxey and nothing. The future. So I'm looking at this like, if you go for a star, make sure it's the right one. If you go for depth, make sure it's the right depth because this is how we cornered ourselves with the Harden trade. This is the do or die offseason. You know what I mean? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk Podcast. We out.